So looking at Tesla stock from a relative rotation graph, we saw that Tesla stock, which at one point was in the leading quadrant, quickly capitulate downwards to where we currently are today. Now, if we take a look at Tesla stock from a technical perspective, we see that it was evident that while it did have that rally upwards, it eventually got rejected by this 3-year descending trend line, which we've seen Tesla stock get rejected multiple times over the last 3 years. But of course, if you toggle over to a semi-logarithmic line chart, you could see this descending trend line much more prominent. And so from a technical perspective, it's very easy to see that the primary trend for Tesla stock is not looking good. We're kind of in some bad territory, but of course, I want to go ahead and toggle over to a bit of the fundamentals and then cover a couple of other areas that we want to be mindful of course, if we're looking at Tesla stock. And so here we're looking at a couple of tables regarding Tesla's deliveries for Q1 and Q2 of 2023 and 2024, and then of course the delta between the two different years and the quarters. Now, it's evident to see that deliveries in the US are falling down. Of course, in China, they're falling down, and then also in Europe, they're down significantly as well. Now, some analysts speculate that the delivery numbers for the United States are likely to have a little bit of a pop due to the Cybertruck deliveries, but the real concern is what's going on in Europe. Now, Stephanie Valdez-Streety from Cox Automotive stated that the reason why they believe that Tesla delivery numbers are down in the European market is simply because of aging models and a lot of competition in the European market. But she also mentioned that the reduced EV subsidies in Europe, specifically in Germany and France, could also be a part of the picture and why we're seeing deliveries down in Europe. And the reason why I want everyone to really focus their attentions on what's going on in Europe is simply because when we're looking at the operating revenue by geographic regions, we know that the United States only contributes to about 46%, and this is back in 2023, of its business model. And so that's why you want to be mindful of what's going on in different regions. But the good news is that when we're looking at Tesla sales in Europe, historically, what we tend to see is that Q4 is where we see actually the peak in deliveries. Of course, Q4 is when we have a lot more deliveries of these cars, and it could just be a seasonal aspect of things. But the concern is that perhaps for this Q4 of 2024, we may not be able to see that pop in deliveries even in the European markets. Now, there's many individuals all over on the X platform or, just everywhere speculating that a part of this could be due to the controversial topics that Elon Musk is talking about in regards to, right-wing politics or left-wing politics based in, the United States and Europe. And that could be impacting, the market and the delivery numbers. Now, look, guys, you guys know, if you guys have been following the channel, that I'm not one to really delve into the political aspects of what's going on. I don't like to actually delve into that world, but I do like to pay attention to the political landscape and, more importantly, the ramifications that it can have on a particular security like Tesla. For example, we know that Tesla has been very reliant on subsidies, and of course we're in the midst of an election year, right? And so that's a huge topic. We know that Elon Musk is going to be having a interview with Trump, and so we're going to want to go ahead and pay attention to that. And so of course I'm not oblivious to the political realm. We have to pay attention to how it could impact a particular company. But this is not me saying it, this is a lot of other individuals saying that the way that Elon Musk has been approaching or really talking about certain topics has been leaving a bad taste for a lot of individuals in Europe who used to be very fond of the Tesla brand. Now, of course, I can't speak on that. I'm not someone who really delves into really caring what the political stance of a leader is, of a company. I like to actually just buy products that I like and invest in companies that I like. But of course, there's some individuals that don't really do that, and they buy based on, maybe preferences that some people have on their political, or their political preferences. And so that could be something. Now, of course, that's not me saying it. That's a lot of individuals saying it. You guys let me know in the comment section down below. Do you believe that Elon Musk's rants on X have been having a kind of negative impact on the Tesla brand, especially on markets in Europe? Again, I can't really answer that. I don't necessarily subscribe to that. I think it's more so the competition in the European markets. I mean, that's just what I see with the data. But again, I'm just paying attention to what other individuals are saying, and that's something that comes up very often. But looking to something that's a bit more positive in regards to Tesla, when you're looking at the statement of operations, what we did notably see is that the cost of revenues came down. Now, it is a minuscule amount. However, it does show that there's some efficiency going on with Tesla, and this could be something that's due to Tesla's part in making their business model more efficient, but it could also be simply due to raw materials or just supply chains kind of easing up, and so that could be a benefit. But regardless of where it comes from, we are seeing cost of revenues decrease. But the main concern is that the automotive business is not looking great. It's not favorable, especially in the macroeconomic environment. Now, yes, we are heading towards September, where we do believe that the Federal Reserve is very likely to start cutting rates in the federal funds rate, and that's great. But it takes time for that to actually impact the markets, and so it's not like, oh, okay, rates are down, everyone's going to start buying cars, because of course it takes time. And right now, what we're seeing is a lot of individuals in America are financially stressed. And so even if rates come down, it may stir up demand, but it's gonna take some time. And so we're not really in the most favorable environment currently, and that's also bad. I've stated this on a multitude of different videos on my channel, stating that the macro environment isn't really or it's not a great environment for Tesla to thrive. Now, real quick plug, if you haven't done so already, consider subscribing to the channel so that you don't miss out on any future videos. But with that said, I want to go ahead and hop into my laptop and talk about Tesla a bit more from a technical perspective, and just cover a couple of things that are coming this week that we want to be mindful of. And so with that said, let's go ahead and hop into my laptop.
Alrighty, so we are officially in my laptop taking a look at Tesla stock, and Tesla stock is definitely an interesting name. One of the things I highlighted in the beginning of this video is that it's pretty much been the primary trend going downwards. Now, you can argue that from this period over here at the beginning of 2023 to where we are now, it's really been sideways. It's not making lower lows. You can argue it had a big swing up, swing down, swing up, swing down. So yes, it's not showing a new trend going downwards, but it's not also showing a trend going upwards. But what you can see is that from where we currently are to 3 years ago, we clearly are down. And so the primary trend is downwards. And, there's been a lot happening with Tesla. And I want to go ahead and talk about what I'm looking to do with Tesla, my long-term portfolio. But of course, you guys should only do whatever you see value in. You should only trade and invest in whatever you see value in. You shouldn't copy me, because I could be right and I could be wrong, just like a lot of the other market pundits that you see. You see, Cathie Wood was a genius back in 2020. But you look at her portfolio now and you're like, Cathie, what the heck are you doing with your capital, right? And so, again, you should only do whatever you see value in. Now, I do have exposure to Tesla in my long-term portfolio. I also have a trading account where I do those more like swing trades and short-term trades. But in the long-term portfolio, I'm looking for an opportunity to scale out a bit on Tesla. I'm not going to sell all my shares on Tesla. I've been holding Tesla since 2016. Still like the company, but at this current time, I'm a bit skeptical on a couple of things, particularly its AI segments and its robotic segments at the moment. I am more optimistic for the Optimus bot, no pun intended, but at the same time, at this current time, I'm not really excited for Tesla. So what am I looking to do? Well, I'm hoping to have a good catalyst for Tesla that could push things upwards, and that could happen. And the reason why that could happen is, from the technical perspective, we know that there's little volume relative to price. Now, I talk about this very often in my videos, so if you're subscribed and you watch my videos habitually, I do apologize that you have to hear this, but it's something that I like looking at. And so, when there's little volume relative to price, and we had buying pressure, well, there's little participation around these price areas, and so the buying pressure pushes up the order books. Similarly, or conversely, if we have selling pressure around these areas, that's where you see those spikes downwards. And when you have a lot of volume relative to price, well, there's this kind of tug of war taking place between the buyers and the sellers, and that's why you have kind of the consolidation taking place. Now, we're slightly above this shelf, and so that's kind of good. It's holding Tesla upwards, and if we have any catalysts that are positive, my apologies, that could push Tesla stock upwards. And so that's something that I'm looking for, and if that does happen, I'm looking to rotate a few, just a bit out of Tesla into some other names, which I will share for those within the Push and Profit private group. But ultimately, That's what I'm looking to do, and hopefully no one gets offended. That's just what I'm looking to do in my long-term portfolio, not something you have to do. Now, what can contribute, to Tesla having a positive, momentum upwards? So, as I mentioned just a few moments ago, we have Tesla, or not Tesla, but Elon Musk interviewing with Trump on Monday. So just a day later, if you're watching this a day after, you perhaps already seen the interview. But this is something that I think is going to be a big catalyst. Now, why is that? Well, of course, we know that former President Donald Trump is running again. And we know, and I think it even mentions it somewhere in this article here from New York Times. I'm not a big fan of the New York Times, by the way, but we just have this pulled up here. I do pay for a subscription. I pay for multiple subscriptions just to get good information out there, right? Some news organizations are a bit more biased, but nonetheless, let's stay on tangent, right? Trump, he's frequently have talked well of Elon Musk, despite here says mocking the range and high cost of electric vehicles. He has kind of this interesting relationship with Elon Musk, and we've talked about this and kind of delved into this in the past a bit deeper. I'm not going to go ahead and talk about it, but the reason why this interview can be a positive catalyst is because we may hear how there may be this mutual support, Trump supporting Elon Musk, and Elon Musk kind of supporting Trump, which we already know, which we know Elon Musk kind of denies. He's like, hey, I'm not directly supporting Trump, but then again, he does have ties to this American PAC, which Trump is a main beneficiary of. So it's kind of like Elon Musk playing word games, like, hey, I'm not supporting Trump, but I'm supporting this, super PAC that Trump is a beneficiary of, right? And I believe it was like $45 million per month. But again, we're not trying to go into the realm of politics. I don't like doing that. But this could be a positive catalyst, and we'll want to hear what is Elon and Musk going to talk about that could, and I said that correctly, Elon and Trump, or Musk and Trump, what they're going to go ahead and talk about, and hopefully we hear some positive conversations in regards to Tesla. So that's something that we want to be mindful of, and that could contribute to some buying pressure, which could easily pop Tesla upwards. Now, is that very likely that we're going to have this 40% jump? I don't think so. We may just come up, and this is being optimistic, to 213. And if we do get to the 213 area, that's where I'll probably want to go ahead and rotate out some of the profits I have in Tesla in the portfolio, and kind of rotate that somewhere else which I'll go ahead and highlight for those within the Push and Profit private group. Now, I did share on my YouTube channel in the community post. If you guys don't know YouTube, you could share community post. And I shared this historical performance of the S&P 500 dating back from, SPY, the ticker symbol SPY, from its inception, going all the way till now. And currently we're in August, and we saw that there was a lot of volatility in August. We saw the markets fall down in August, but we know that historically September is a pretty bloody month. That's my birthday month, but it is historically a seasonal month where things look bad, and there's a couple of contributing factors to that. We have a lot of European fund managers that go on holiday, so there's less activity in the market, and when there's less activity, if there is any sort of selling pressure, well, that could drive things down, as we talked about, right, with volume. And then we know that a lot of mutual funds end their fiscal year, so there's like this rotation that takes place that often contributes to what we call in the market the September effect. So that's something that we're going to want to be mindful of. And so that's why I'm looking for hopefully a bit of a pop with Tesla if there's some positive catalyst, and rotating that out to somewhere where I believe may be a bit more safer for my capital. But let's go ahead and talk about things from a macro perspective. So we also have pretty much the PPI coming out. That's the Producer Price Index, and as well as the CPI. This is something that most people are familiar with. Retail is very familiar with the CPI. The Federal Reserve likes to look at the PCE, the Personal Consumption Expenditure Report, but nonetheless, CPI is still an inflationary gauge, and this could be a positive. We've talked about within the Push and Profit private group how inflation has been coming down, and so if we see this continuous sign of inflation coming down within the next CPI report, that could be a type of catalyst that could propel the markets upwards, and Tesla may be a beneficiary of it, which could cause it to go to this 213 area that I'm looking for, right? Of course, that's just me being optimistic and what I'm planning to do, but that's kind of what I'm looking into in regards to Tesla. Again, you do whatever you see value in. Now, for those of you guys that made it this far in this video, I have a special treat for you guys. I do have the Push and Profit private group where I share my daily briefings. Every single day, I talk about what I'm looking into in the markets and some trade ideas. And I do have a coupon code I'm only sharing it for those that made it this far in this video. If you hit start now and you hit apply, this does expire by the end of this week. You'll get 55% off, so you could just join for $18. You could cancel at any time, so if you don't find value in it, you could always cancel. But I definitely recommend taking advantage of the sale that we have going on. And with that said, you guys let me know in the comment section down below what are your thoughts for Tesla, and I'll see you guys on this next video right over here. Take care, guys.